Everybody right now is talking about nuclear weapons, but yo, these things are like, what, 80 years old? Not like every nuke is 80 years old, but the technology. You have to imagine they've developed different weapons by now, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean,
bioweapons?
80 years? 80 years, what we've seen in Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And those attacked major cities that were key infrastructure for, of course, the Japanese military. They had a lot of factories there. They had a lot of production there. What's Russia going to do? Bomb China for producing all the infrastructure for the United States? It does. So there's a lot of complexities to our modern day. And there's also talk of low-yield nuclear weapons that don't have any radioactivity, that just provide kind of a big boom there. What we're talking about right now is just crazy stuff that is even preposterous that we're at this level where we are at right now. This is crazy.
I want to go back to World War II and just imagine what they were thinking before the deployment of nuclear bombs, right? They had V2 rockets. They had, they had Zeppelins dropping stuff or something like that.
Well, they were using B2 or B-52s to drop, I think a B-52, drop firebomb. They firebombed Dresden before the nukes went off.
So that right there was already kind of like a dramatic escalation. Imagine if they, in World War II, were concerned about the most powerful and devastating weapon of like 1860. Like we're talking about 80 years ago, we developed these fission bombs, these nuclear bombs. And then, of course, since then, we've dramatically increased their power by like 1,000-fold and put them on ICBMs. Now we have this torpedo. I'm willing to bet, I'm just going to say it, off the top of my head, antimatter weapons probably exist in great yield.
You don't know what's coming. This is the point of modern war, is you don't know. A big point of it. You watch The Great War on YouTube, fantastic channel, documents World War I week by week. They didn't know what machine guns were. Not really. They didn't know that they were running into a machine gun for like weeks and weeks and even maybe months. They just got up and just kept running and just kept getting killed. Millions of people would just keep running into this new weapon that they didn't understand. And then in World War II, they didn't think a nuclear bomb was going to take out Hiroshima. They didn't know that existed, that potential was there. But lo and behold, in a split second, things can change.
So this is a story that broke last Friday. The first transgender officer in the U.S. Army, right, arrested being a Russian spy, traitor to our country. Now, this is what I found very, very interesting in the story. What were the Russians after? So what were presumably they wanting? What were they wanting? What information?
Medical data.
Health records.
Right, that's right. Well, they weren't going after Delta Force's like capacity of firepower or what special weapons they had or night vision goggles. They were going after the medical records. Now, what does this mean? Gordon Chang says that China is working on biomedical DNA attracted, devastate. I'm not sure how you would even call it. Like, what would you even call it? DNA markers that say like we're going to make a specific death for you based on your genetic code. And China's going full in on this technology to figure out how to kill whole groups of people.
Of course.
And this, of course, is the James Bond, plot to the last James Bond movie.
You don't want them to know that you're attacking them. That's the point. They want to do it invisibly, quietly, subtly. You don't want to drop weapons that you see coming.
You guys know about Stuxnet? This was a cyber weapon developed by the U.S. and Israel to blow up Iranian nuclear centrifuges to stop them from, obviously, getting nuclear power or weapons or whatever you want to call it. So this was a cyber weapon that was basically just spattered across the planet. They infected everything and said sooner or later it will find its way onto their computers. And it did. It did nothing until it found the centrifuges. And then it caused them to spin until they exploded. But this virus was apparently on regular machines and industrial machines, but it wouldn't do anything. That's exactly it. I wonder if back then someone saw that and said, we can do that on a computer. Can we do that on a person? Yeah. You create a virus that will infect, a bioweapon that will infect every person on the planet, but only cause damage in certain DNA. Yeah. What movie was it? James Bond?
James Bond. This was the exact plot of the last James Bond film. And we know that the Central Intelligence Agency has a bureau in Hollywood that they openly push the new horrors to humanity through Hollywood cinema. And that they are probably concerned about this because this is what was happening. This exact thing was happening in James Bond film. There's a black character, female character, right? People thought she might have been the new James Bond, right? 007 takes time off and she becomes 007. Anyway, at the end of the film, the mad scientist is like, I could make a disease. They're in there, his lair, and he goes, I could wipe out your entire race, right? That was his threat to her, is that I could wipe out your entire people based on the genetic code.
But hold on.
Right?
Who would this most negatively impact? Not the United States.
China?
I don't know.
China is more ethnically homogenous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
homogenous.
But it doesn't have to be about your ethnic genetics. It could be about a trigger. So, like an external stimuli, a light or a sound could trigger your genetic to do the thing to activate it. It could be something you eat. It could be an emotion you have could trigger it.
That's how they
Some
got
kind of
Spectre.
chemical release in your brain activates it or something like that.
Yeah.
So they
That-
did a mass murder of a group at the beginning of the movie. And I mean, obviously, it's not a documentary, okay? Like, it's a James Bond film. But they killed a specific targeted group of people because they all took a tablet, right? They took a pill that you could give the military, let's say. Everyone in the military, they all take, like, very similar medicines, obviously vaccine mandates, so on and so forth. And so you could target them based on the medicine that they take.